History has something wrong. What if the past is not what we think it is? What if, buried beneath deserts, jungles, oceans, and mountains, are discoveries so strange, so advanced, so impossible, that they challenge everything we are taught about ancient history? Because around the world, archaeologists have uncovered ruins, artifacts, and structures that should not exist. Objects found in the wrong time period, cities hidden for thousands of years, technology that seems too advanced for its age. And the deeper we dig, the more mysterious the past becomes. Tonight, we explore ancient archaeological discoveries that should not exist. The city beneath the earth. In Turkey, an underground city was discovered, carved deep into stone. Multiple levels, tunnels, ventilation shafts, living quarters. A hidden world beneath the surface capable of sheltering thousands. Who built it? Why was it hidden? And how did ancient people engineer something so vast underground? Stones too heavy to move. Across the world stand monuments built from stones weighing hundreds of tons, perfectly placed, precisely cut, sometimes fitted so tightly that even a blade cannot pass between them. Modern machinery would struggle, yet ancient builders achieved it with tools we barely understand. How? The face in the desert. In remote landscapes, giant carvings and mysterious stone faces stare across empty land. Some weathered beyond recognition, others hidden under sand for centuries. Who created them? Kings, unknown cultures, or civilizations history forgot? Cities underwater. Beneath oceans and lakes lie structures resembling roads, walls, and temples. If they were built by humans, then sea levels were once very different, which means some civilizations may be older than officially accepted. How many cities now rest beneath the water? The object in the wrong era. Sometimes a discovery is not a city, but a single object, a mechanism, a metal object, a design centuries ahead of its time. And when found, it raises one dangerous question: what else have we missed?
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.
The chamber no one opened. Deep beneath a collapsed temple, archaeologists once found a sealed chamber. No markings, no entrance handle, no visible method of opening it. Only a smooth stone door fitted so perfectly into the wall that it seemed fused into place. For weeks, teams attempted to move it. Then, one morning, it was already open. Inside, they found an empty circular room. No treasure, no bones, no inscriptions. Only a polished black floor that reflected light like water. And in the center, a single stone seat facing upward toward nothing. Or perhaps toward the sky above the mountain. The city that was erased. In a remote desert, satellite scans revealed the outline of an enormous buried city. Roads, walls, towers, a settlement larger than many ancient capitals. Excavations began immediately, but when the sand was removed, there was almost nothing there. The streets existed, the foundations existed, the shape of the city remained, but every building above ground level had been removed with unnatural precision. as if the city had not collapsed, but deliberately erased, stone by stone. Who removes an entire city and leaves only its shadow? The map of places that do not exist. Among forgotten manuscripts discovered in a monastery archive was a map unlike any other. It showed mountains never recorded, oceans with no modern equivalent, continents with names lost to language. But most disturbing of all, it marked locations that still align perfectly with unexplained ruins found today. Some believe it was symbolic. Others believe it was copied from something far older, a chart of the world before history began. The machine in the tomb. Inside a sealed burial chamber, hidden behind layers of stone, researchers uncovered a bronze device covered in gears. Hundreds of tiny teeth, rotating discs, symbols matching stars, moons, and planets. When reconstructed, the mechanism appeared to calculate celestial cycles with astonishing accuracy. But one dial did something stranger. It pointed not to any known planet, but to an orbit that does not exist, unless something once occupied it. The statues that turn. Across several ancient sites, explorers reported the same phenomenon. Massive stone statues, always facing one direction by day, yet found slightly turned by dawn. No tracks, no damage, no explanation. Every recording failed between 3:11 and 3:13 a.m. Static, darkness, silence. And when the image returned, the statues had moved again, only by a few degrees, as if they were slowly aligning with something approaching in the sky. The library under the sea. Divers exploring a collapsed coastal shelf discovered rows of stone chambers beneath shallow water. Inside were shelves, thousands of them, most empty, but some still held sealed clay cylinders untouched by time. When opened, they contained thin metal sheets engraved with microscopic symbols, too small to read by the naked eye, too precise for primitive tools, and arranged in repeating patterns like coded language. A library drowned long ago, still waiting to be read. The night the stones hummed. Villagers near an ancient ruin told the same story for generations. On certain nights, the stones begin to hum, not loudly, not musically, but like distant machinery vibrating underground. Scientists dismissed it as wind until sensors recorded low frequencies emerging from beneath the site at intervals matching celestial events. Every equinox, every solstice, every lunar eclipse. The monument was not silent, it was responding. The bones with no name. During excavation of an ancient burial field, researchers found skeletal remains unlike any known population. Longer skulls, unusual bone density, hands with 6-finger joints instead of 5. DNA results returned incomplete, not contaminated, not damaged, simply unmatched. No lineage, no classification, no place on the human tree. The remains were dated thousands of years old, which means something lived beside us and vanished without memory. The Gateway Room. Beneath a mountain temple was a chamber containing 2 standing stone rings facing each other. Both smooth, both identical, both marked with star coordinates. Nothing happened for decades. Then, during a solar eclipse, witnesses reported a faint light appearing between them.
Not reflected, not projected, floating. A doorway of pale blue mist lasting only seconds. Long enough for one researcher to place a hand inside. He later claimed the air beyond was warm and smelled of rain. 18th section, the final question. Every generation believes it understands the past. But what if the past has been edited? What if ruins are not remains, but warnings? What if artifacts are not tools, but messages? And what if ancient archaeological discoveries do not challenge history because they are old, but because they belong to something history was never meant to remember? Beneath our feet. Tonight, beneath deserts, forests, oceans, and cities, the earth still holds secrets. Rooms unopened, machines buried, maps unread, names forgotten, and perhaps entire civilizations waiting in darkness. Because history is not a finished story. It is a surface, and below that surface, something else remains.
The stairs that descend too far. Beneath a ruined fortress in the mountains, workers clearing debris uncovered a staircase cut directly into bedrock. At first, it seemed ordinary. Ancient sites often contain lower chambers, storage rooms, burial vaults. But these stairs did not end. They continued downward through smooth tunnels for hundreds of meters, then thousands. Air grew colder. Walls became polished like glass. No soot from torches, no tool marks, no signs of erosion. At the deepest point explored, the stairs opened into a hall so large that lights could not find the ceiling. And carved into the floor was a map of the stars, as they appeared 12,000 years ago. Who built a chamber no one could easily reach? And why place a sky beneath the earth? The Temple of Sound. In a jungle swallowed by vines, explorers rediscovered a collapsed temple known only through legend. Most of it had fallen, columns broken, roof gone, roots threading through stone. But in the central chamber stood 7 pillars untouched by time. When wind moved through the chamber, the pillars produced tones, each a different note. Together, they formed a repeating sequence. Musicians later recreated the pattern and found something strange. The tones matched mathematical ratios found in orbital mechanics, as if the temple had been built to sing the movements of planets. A monument not for prayer, but for memory. The clock buried in clay. A sealed clay jar discovered in Mesopotamia contained hundreds of tiny metal fragments. At first, they seemed useless, corroded scraps, broken jewelry. But when assembled digitally, they formed a layered mechanism of springs and wheels, a clock, or something close to it. Its design was centuries ahead of anything known from that period. Yet its markings around its outer ring did not measure hours. They measured intervals between eclipses. Why hide such a device? Who feared the keeping of time? The Wall of Unknown Script. At the edge of a canyon, a cliff face was found covered with symbols stretching nearly 1 kilometer. No repeats, no obvious grammar, no language family match. Thousands of unique signs, each carved with identical depth and precision. Linguists studied it for years. Then pattern analysts noticed the symbols changed when viewed from above. The wall was not writing, it was data,
a vertical archive designed to be read from the sky. The lake that hides a city. A drought lowered the waters of a remote lake and revealed stone roads beneath the surface, then foundations, then towers. Within weeks, a complete city emerged from the receding water. Doorways still standing, streets still aligned. No record mentioned it, no local legend described it. Most mysterious of all, every building faced the same direction, toward a mountain peak where no temple stands today. Divers later found one submerged there, collapsed, waiting. The Room of Perfect Shadows. Inside an ancient complex in the desert lies a chamber with no windows, no openings, no visible source of light. Yet at noon each equinox, a narrow line of sunlight appears across the floor. It moves exactly through the center of the room, then disappears. Architects cannot explain the path. There is no crack wide enough, no shaft aligned properly. And still, year after year, the light returns, as if the stone itself remembers where the sun should be. The artifact that responded. In a museum archive, an unclassified stone object sat untouched for decades, heavy, black, covered in shallow grooves. During a routine scan, nearby electronics failed. Lights flickered, monitors distorted. Then the grooves began to glow faintly, not hot, not radioactive, only luminous. The effect stopped when the object was moved away from a meteorite sample found in the same room. Separated, both became silent again. Together, they reacted, as if recognizing one another after ages apart. Genetic Section 23. The skeleton with metal threads. A burial chamber in Eastern Europe contained remains wrapped in fabric turned to dust. But around the bones were thin metallic strands woven through where muscles once lay. Flexible, corrosion-resistant. Microscopic examination showed deliberate braiding. No one knows their purpose. Decoration seems unlikely. Repair impossible. Enhancement unthinkable, unless ancient people experimented with the body in ways history never imagined. The road no one built. Satellite imagery in a barren plateau revealed a straight line extending nearly 80 kilometers. Too precise for nature, too old for modern construction. Excavation found compacted stone layers beneath the soil. A road, perfectly level, no nearby city, no destination. It ended at a circular depression lined with melted rock. Some suggest meteor impact. Others ask why someone built a road directly to it. The masks of the Watchers. Dozens of identical stone masks were uncovered in caves across 3 continents. Same shape, same dimensions, same hollow eyes. Carbon dating placed them centuries apart. No evidence of contact between the cultures. Yet each mask was found facing upward toward cave openings where stars would be visible. And each carried scratches on the inside surface, as if worn many times. By whom, and for what ritual of watching? The night sky on the floor. An underground chamber in North Africa contained a mosaic unlike any other. Millions of tiny stones arranged into a map of the heavens. But it did not match the current sky. Astronomers calculated its alignment to a date more than 15,000 years ago, far older than the accepted age of the chamber.
Either the room is much older than believed, or its builders preserved knowledge from a time no history records. The city with no trash. Excavations of an ancient urban site revealed streets, homes, workshops, reservoirs, and gardens, but almost no waste, no broken tools, no discarded pottery, no food remains, no burial grounds nearby. It was as if an entire population cleaned every trace of itself, then vanished in a single day. Orderly departure, forced evacuation, or preparation for something they knew was coming. The signal under the sand. Ground sensors beneath a desert ruin detected rhythmic vibrations every 13 nights, always the same duration, always the same depth. Excavation teams dug downward expecting hollow chambers. Instead, they found a slab of polished stone too large to move. The signal came below it, still active, still repeating. Something beneath the ruin continues to send a message no one can yet translate.
The door that opens only once. In a canyon hidden by shifting sand, explorers uncovered a stone doorway standing alone with no visible structure around it. No walls, no roof, only a single frame carved from one block of granite. At sunrise, nothing happened. At noon, nothing happened. But once each year, on the longest day of summer, light passed through the opening at a perfect angle and illuminated symbols buried beneath the dust. The symbols formed a map, not of the land, but of the sky. And when the sun moved, the map vanished again. A doorway that did not lead through stone, but through time. The well with no bottom. In the center of a ruined city stood a circular shaft lined with black stone. Ropes lowered into it never reached water. Lights dropped into it disappeared into darkness. Sound sent downward returned seconds later, altered, as if the echo had traveled through corridors below. Engineers measured the depth repeatedly. Each time the number changed. Some days it was 200 meters, other days nearly 400. No collapse, no debris, only changing distance, as if the shaft itself refused to remain the same. The tablets of the return. Clay tablets found in a collapsed archive described a cycle repeated every few thousand years. A return, not of kings, not of floods, but of lights in the sky that descend when humanity forgets. Most scholars dismissed the text as symbolic myth, but the dates carved into the tablets corresponded closely with known periods of sudden collapse in ancient civilizations. The wording was simple: when the heavens return, the old cities wake. The bones in the wall. During restoration of a mountain fortress, workers opened a sealed corridor hidden behind stone blocks. Inside, the walls were hollow chambers packed with human bones, thousands of them, yet none showed signs of violence. No cuts, no fractures, no disease. Each skeleton was arranged upright, facing east, and between every third set of remains was a narrow gap containing polished obsidian mirrors. What ritual required the dead to stand and watch the dawn forever? The stone that grew warm. An artifact recovered from deep excavation appeared ordinary. Smooth gray rock, no markings, no unusual composition.
Then, during a lunar eclipse, museum staff noticed it had become warm to the touch, not heated externally, not exposed to light, warm from within. Sensors recorded a faint pulse every 33 seconds. When the eclipse ended, the stone cooled and never repeated the phenomenon until the next eclipse. The bridge to nowhere. In dense jungle, aerial scans revealed an enormous stone bridge stretching across a valley. It connected two cliffs, but led to no road, no city, no visible structures on either side. Its engineering was flawless, its foundations impossibly deep. Why construct such a monumental crossing where nothing existed? Excavations later uncovered buried stairways descending beneath each end of the bridge. Perhaps it once connected not cliffs, but worlds above and below. The faces in the ceiling. Inside a cave system lit only by torchlight, researchers found carved human faces high on the ceiling. Thousands of them, each different, each staring downward. No ladders were found, no scaffolding marks, no explanation for how artists reached such heights in narrow chambers. Some faces appeared calm, others terrified. A few had mouths open as if screaming silently into the stone. Who were they? Ancestors? Witnesses? Or records of people who saw something no one survived to describe? The compass that spun. A bronze device resembling a compass was unearthed from a coastal temple. When restored, its needle did not point north. It rotated slowly until nightfall, then fixed itself toward a single star low on the horizon. Every clear night, it repeated the motion. But that star no longer exists in the modern sky. Astronomers identified it as one visible only thousands of years ago due to precession. The instrument was waiting for a star that had already moved on. The Garden of Stone Trees. Far beneath volcanic ash, archaeologists uncovered an ancient courtyard filled with carved stone trees. Every branch unique, every leaf detailed. At first, it seemed decorative. Then botanists noticed something impossible. The trees matched species from different continents, species that should never have been known together in that era. How did the sculptors know plants separated by oceans, unless their world map was wider than ours believes? The room of no sound. A buried chamber beneath a temple produced a strange effect. Once inside, all sound vanished. Footsteps muted, voices swallowed, even echoes refused to form. Acoustic engineers studied the geometry and found no clear reason. The room absorbed nearly everything. Ancient inscriptions outside translated roughly to "Enter only when you must hear what is not spoken." What conversations took place there in perfect silence? The fire that never burned out. In a sealed sanctuary, excavators found a bronze bowl containing black residue. Chemical tests suggested ancient fuel. When exposed to air, the residue ignited instantly. Blue flame, steady, odorless. It burned for 6 hours without consuming material, then vanished. No ash remained. Only a cold bowl. Whatever fuel it once held, modern chemistry could not identify it. The child's drawing. On the wall of a forgotten house, preserved by ash, was a childlike painting. A family standing beneath a bright sky, a river nearby, mountains in distance, and above them, a circle descending from the clouds emitting lines of light. The pigments dated to thousands of years ago. Adults may carve myths, priests may invent symbols, but children often paint what they see. The Hall of Shadows. At sunset in a ruined palace, columns cast shadows across the floor. Nothing unusual until measured. The shadows formed symbols matching an undeciphered script found elsewhere on site. As the sun lowered, the message changed. Different seasons produced different sequences. The building itself was writing, stone arranged to speak only through light. The metal under the pyramid. Ground scans beneath a stepped pyramid revealed a geometric mass far below bedrock. Excavation shafts were started but repeatedly collapsed. Robotic probes eventually reached the cavity. Their cameras captured smooth metallic surfaces reflecting their own lights. Then transmission ended. No debris, no malfunction trace, only silence. Whatever lies beneath remains sealed for now.